Okay, Kenyon, before we go ahead and take off and live the rest of our day, it would be good if we could sort of close out this part of our day with a ceremonial, grab your binky, your moo-moo. I don't know if a moo-moo's used for...
Dap.
Yeah, whatever onesie is
I mean, that being...
reach.
Yeah, we're saying like beep, beep, and boop, boop, but a moo-moo is the thing that I would wear to relax for sure.
Okay, so put on your comfy pants, put on your softest pants, gather around, folks. This is a Beatles story time.
Yes, and there's not pomp and circumstance with this. We're just going to get right into it. We're talking about the 1964 UK tour. This is like their fifth tour. I don't know. It's one of their major tours of 1964. They did the world tour. They did the North American tour. They did a number of other things, like a Swedish thing, a Scottish, whatever. They did all these things. And at the end of the year, if that wasn't enough, we have our own home country that we have to tour. So quick, let's fit that in there before the end of the year while we're trying to record our last album. Not a big deal. Here's the general info for it. It went from October 9th through November 10th, 1964. So a month long, just like the North American tour, although they did take a number of breaks. Pretty intense. The set list was about 10 songs, mostly from A Hard Day's Night, and the Ringo song they did was I Want to Be Your Man versus like Matchbox.
Got
or
you.
something like
Or
that.
boys.
Or boys. The supporting acts were the Rustics, who we talked about. They're an NEMS band. Sounds Incorporated, same. NEMS band. Michael Haslam, same. We recently signed singer to NEMS. The Remo 4, which we've talked about them a lot. Tommy Quickly, all NEMS acts. And the lone non-NEMS act kind of main headliner outside the Beatles, Mary Wells, who basically had all of her hits, not all, but most of her hits written by Smokey Robinson, and then just releasing My Girl, which was her big song that...
Oh, My Guy.
Yeah, My Guy. Sorry. Well, because Smokey Robinson wrote My Girl as well.
Makes sense.
But yes, My Guy. The compeer was Bob Bain. It's like a comedian, but he emceed it. This was booked basically in December 1963, so it kind of was like the opposite of all the recent tours. No huge stadiums or arenas, no planes to catch, and they were traveling parts of the world that they had traveled for years before. This is just like not the same as Australia, going around the US. This was kind of like getting in a van and playing the small theaters that they had been playing for years. It was kind of like a welcome change of pace from all the crazy, if you remember the North American tour that we talked about recently, it's they almost died multiple times. So this was much appreciated. It starts out on October 9th, which is John's birthday. And they start in a town called Bradford. And it goes from there. A notable date later, October 15th, it was election day in the UK, and Harold Wilson's Labour Party won that term. And this was kind of a significant moment, and it is actually going to impact our conversation moving forward. UK had kind of been under conservative rule for a bit, and the Labour Party winning at this moment changed a ton of things. As a preview, just so it doesn't seem so random of me mentioning it, it probably was one of the main significant causes of the Beatles breakup. There, I said it.
Okay, go ahead. Just issue that hot take for the room.
They were interviewed about their voting intentions, and I don't know, they all had snarky answers about it. And George sings about Mr. Wilson in Taxman. But they actually probably didn't vote, because they were touring. October 15th, that happened. October 18th, they do the 9-hour session at EMI, where they did all 8 songs that we've talked about many times. So that's when it happened, right here in the middle. October 19th, the next day, they did a 3-date stint in Scotland. And then on the 22nd, they came back to London. And George gets his palm read by Eva Petulango. Someone. George must have been particularly interested in that, because he also had his fortune read in the States, in Atlantic City, I think maybe, by the psychic or whatever that predicted that they were going to die on their way to Indianapolis. But anyway, then on the 26th, they go back to EMI. They work on a couple more songs. On day 15 of the tour, on October 28th, they were in Exeter and they celebrated their chauffeur Alf Bicknell's 36th birthday. I don't know if that was worth mentioning, but there it is. And we've talked about Alf Bicknell before, so at least there's that. But, they had a last-minute gig in Belfast, which I think it's the only time they played Belfast, which is kind of interesting. For some reason, like thinking of the Beatles playing in Belfast is weird for me. But on November 2nd, it was supposed to be a rest day. They had to fly to Belfast and do a last-minute gig. November 8th, on day 25 of the tour, they played Liverpool. First time they had done so since December of 1963. And after the show, John visited Stu's parents, and they gave John a painting that Stu had done. Day 27 of the tour, November 10th, they played in Bristol. And apparently during this show, there was 4 kids that dropped flour from the rafters during their set. I guess on the Beatles or behind them or something. So I said it was less lethal, but there was that element. That was very dangerous. If you inhale too much flour, you could die. Apparently the names of the kids were Sue, Roger, Richard, and Bob. And that's their UK tour for 1964.
Thank you.